everyone, and welcome to the Training in My Life podcast, episode 73. This week, Christmas ponderings. So I'm pondering all about Christmas. It's on my mind all the time. And like many of us, as we walk around town and travel to and from work, things like that, the Christmas lights are on and there's Christmas in all of the shops. There's displays and there's gifts and then there's the commercials on I don't actually watch TV, but on YouTube I can tell the commercials are all about Christmas. Each company has a special Christmas ad. It's almost like they're trying to outdo each other with the best of the best. And who knows what people will love or hate in a Christmas ad. It's very subjective. Depends on your mood, depends on your family situation, whether you find them wonderful, heartwarming, or just annoying. Anyway, see, I'm pondering Christmas. I'm sat in the dining room looking out the back doors at the garden at the moment, and there is a squirrel that's hopped its way down the path and is in the soaking wet grass, jumping over and over and staring at me. And I'm just wondering what it's looking for, because it's not doing any. Usually it does sort of digging in the grass, but it's not doing that. Perhaps it's having its morning shower in the drizzly rain that's happening at the moment. Anyway, back to Christmas. Actually, there's a thought. I need to name that squirrel. We do have one squirrel that comes regularly to the garden, and he comes from the back of the garden, so I don't think he lives in our garden. In fact, I know he doesn't, because we don't have any sort of trees that he would live in. Anyway, in our previous house we had Crazy Squirrel and Zen, but I've not named this squirrel, and maybe I've not named him because he hasn't done anything weird. The squirrels at our old house did weird stuff, so that you knew what to call them. So maybe the name will just happen when I see him doing something. Anyway, back to Christmas again. I think of Christmas as a happy time, but I know some people, especially in the lead up to Christmas, find the pressure too much, and they find, they're not enjoying Christmas because they have the pressure of buying gifts for everybody, and especially if you have a lot of extended family and your list is enormous and you're looking at your bank account and thinking, oh my, how am I going to manage to give them something that they'll expect. Somehow there is a level of expectance, isn't there, in gift giving, depending on where you are in the family. I mean, like a teenager, if they see an uncle who has a job, they think, okay, he's going to give me a big gift, right? Because it's like he's earning money, he's single, he's not got to pay for his girlfriend, wife, whatever, so he's going to give me a big gift. So there is that level of expectation. And then there's the grandmother thing, in that I know for years I took a lot of time finding the right gift for my grandmother, and it was almost expected that you put a lot of thought into it, and in return the gifts that I got from her I expected to be low value, because she did, she's living on a pension, and not really what I'd like, because she was my grandmother and the age difference is so big, she had no idea what I liked, but it didn't matter, because that was how families work. And yeah, there is this level of expectation, and sometimes it changes. You might, like we've done recently, move where we're living, and we're paying more rent, so we've got less money to spend on gifts. But that's not always obvious to the people that you're giving to, and then their expectations are still what they used to be. Anyway, that does cause pressure on people in the lead up to Christmas, and there is always that stress of finding the right gift for your partner, man or woman, whoever you live with. They may not tell you what they want for Christmas. Sometimes it's easier if they do, But if they don't, then you're up against trying to find the perfect gift. And hopefully you will know their likes and dislikes and have a rough idea of what they like. But sometimes it's like, well, you know the perfect cologne or perfume, but that's the easy option, and you're trying to find something a little bit more unique, and that may work and it may not, but you'll know again for different years. There's also the pressure of planning the food. You might be the one that's actually the host, and you will either have to order in everything to be there at the right time, or you will have to go and source it and stock up your freezer with all the stuff you're going to need to cook. And then on the day, you're also sort of juggling personalities and hoping people hit it off. And big family get-togethers, there's almost always arguments, isn't there? It's not, and I think if that happens, don't feel it's you and you should have done something. Just think, it is what it is, and it's only a day anyway, and everyone goes home. So don't beat yourself up about things like that. And hopefully, if you've put in all that work and effort, people will pitch in with the washing up, or they'll be very thankful and saying you've done a great job. There are other aspects to Christmas as well. When you are buying your gifts, you may want to plan well ahead. Sometimes if you're ordering online, you have to do that because things run out of stock, and then you can't get what you want. You have to wait for it to come back in again. Sometimes people like to wait till Christmas Eve to shop. The shops wouldn't be so busy on Christmas Eve if there wasn't still a lot of people that do that, go to the stores on Christmas Eve. They might have a half day at work, they finish work and they go off to the stores and they do the remainder of their Christmas shopping. When I've done that, I've not been looking for a final gift that I haven't got. I've been looking for, I wonder if there'll be any little bits of something to add to someone's gift, just a little bit extra, not an actual pressure of actually finding a main gift. And the atmosphere is very different on Christmas Eve. There is a certain part of Christmas Eve that's very frantic in the stores, and people are cross about the huge lines, and they're huffing and they're puffing and they can't wait to get home and put their feet up and watch some TV or have a drink, and they don't want to be there, but they do need to be there to get the things that they want. And it can be an experience for people that they don't particularly enjoy. But there's a tail end to Christmas Eve in the stores where the sort of managers of the stores can see that the amount of people through the doors is dwindling, and they're sort of having in their mind, okay, we'll all stick around till this time and then I'm shutting the doors. And it's all very much done on an ad hoc basis. The manager of stores on Christmas Eve, they decide when the doors shut. If it suddenly goes quiet at 12 o'clock and there's just nobody walking through the doors, and there's like one or two people walking along the street, maybe it's raining or whatever. So the managers decide when the store closes, and I think that's good. You don't want a load of staff standing around chatting to each other and saying, oh, for God's sake, why doesn't he let us go? Why doesn't she let us go off and have a Christmas Eve? And they do tend to get, quite often there's extra pay for working these special hectic days. Sometimes not, because Christmas Eve is, even in offices, Christmas Eve is a working day. Not all companies make you work Christmas Eve, but it is officially a working day. It's Christmas and Boxing Day, the 26th, that are official national holidays here. Anyway, there is this time, and if you happen to be in the stores when it's like that, when they're almost ready to close. There's a completely different atmosphere, and it's really quite peaceful because I've experienced it. And there was the rush and the hectic thing earlier, and everybody was cross and angry and just wanted to be out there, have it done and finished with. And the staff were incredibly busy serving people, and then it's still and quiet, and there's just the odd few stragglers, and nobody is rushing, and nobody is overwhelmed by the amount of people in the store. So yeah, if you can hit that spot where it's nice like that. I mean, it's nice to choose gifts when it's like that. There's loads of empty spaces, but if you were looking for one thing, it would be easier. You could get through the store and look around much easier. But yeah, it's got, the day itself has got sort of parts to it which are very, very different. I don't know. It does depend on the weather whether I go out whether I go out to Christmas Eve. But it is nice to experience that. I mean, sometimes if it's very cold and that, you just want to be cuddled up at home and not have to go out. For lots of years, I haven't been able to take the full 2 weeks of Christmas off, from sort of before Christmas Eve, a couple of days till New Year. But through restructuring at work with staff, I am able to do that now. If I have the holiday entitlement to do it, it's not given to me. Just the 2 days and New Year's Day are given to me, and the other has to be from my annual holiday. But yeah, I do try and do it now, and I am conscious that sometimes you get to Boxing Day and you might go out to the sales, and then you get to the next day and you think, and the next day, and you're like, oh, what do I do now? Got no money because Christmas is expensive and weather's not good for going anywhere, and you get to the point where you're actually glad to go back to work. And January is, of course, that month where it's kind of dreary and cold, and you just go to work and come home. There's not a lot in between. But yes, pondering on Christmas. So yeah, I've thought about what this Christmas will be like. I've never been in the situation where I'm in a house that I know I will only be here one Christmas. This is not how, because we moved here in a hurry because we had to get out of the last place, and we'll only see one Christmas here, and I've never been in that situation before. Part of me doesn't want to feel settled. Part of me hates the fact that I don't feel it's home, because it should feel like home. It's that double-edged sword kind of thing. But hoping to make the most of Christmas. I've also discovered in Tesco's they've got £1 strands of tinsel. Now, I haven't been a big fan of tinsel in the recent past years, because I feel, it's made of artificial stuff, will probably take years to rot down on a city dump. But the other thing I don't like is that it smells very dusty after you've had it up, so you can't really pack it away and bring it out the next year. But Tesco's £1 tinsel. I've been to a big Tesco's and I bought 3 strands of the pound tinsel, and they were basically red, green, gold. But then I went again yesterday, which was probably 2 weeks since the last time, and this time they had red, green and gold, but they had white in between on each strand, so it made it look snowy. I don't know how that happens, but it does. So you got the colour, but with the white in every other space, it looked snowy, and still £1. So I thought, I get it. Every time I come here, they're going to have different tinsel, but still at £1. So I bought 3 strands of that. But I intend to use it like wrapped around the banister on the staircase to decorate that. And there's a fireplace in my bedroom. Well, it's not exactly a fireplace because that's blocked up and covered by wallpaper, but there is the shelf that was above the fireplace. So I will put some on there. We have a fireplace in the living room. I might use some on the actual base of that, because we have like a big garland that goes across the top, although it's quite narrow, the shelf of the fireplace in the living room, so I don't know how that's going to work out, but I mean, you'll see in another video anyway. But what I'm getting at is decorating your home for Christmas is also a thing to ponder about, to think about, and start to plan in your head. Or you may be a kind of person that's out and sees something and thinks, I want that, that'll look great, stood in my doorway or on the windowsill in the living room. You know, there could be something like that. Certainly as I've got older, you collect decorations each year, you pack them away, you bring them out, so you've got some. You could manage quite well without buying anything. And I do try and do that. I try and buy one or two decorations for the tree each year, but other than that, nothing major. I've always kind of wanted a Santa to go on the bottom of the banister, on the sort of pillar bit of the bottom of the banister. Growing up as a child, my mother put one there which had his arm raised. It was like he was saying hello to people as they came in the door, and I've always kind of wanted to do the same thing. The problem is, at the moment, we've got a little wooden pot which we drop our keys in when we come in the house, and it stood right there on the banister. So we'd have to move it, except there's no obvious place to move it to. So I don't know. We'll see. And I'd also have to see it, because see the specific Santa to put there, and I haven't actually come across that yet. Anyway, if you're pondering Christmas like me and thinking about all these things before they actually happen, sort of partially planning them in your head, but also wanting to go with the flow, if you see something special, let me know what makes Christmas for you. I try and not make Christmas about money, because I think that easily that it can be that how big a gift you got, or how much you were able to spend on other people and things like that, and how big an amount of food you lay on for people. At the end of the day, it should be about the people that you're with, and the love that you feel for them, the friendships, the family, the sort of celebrating something together. Okay, well, if you enjoyed this podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and come back next time. Bye for now.